What's up, everybody? Arrg the Pirate here, and today I'm gonna go over the community corner number 28 and break down the HUD as well. Now, I have not talked about the new HUD changes because I was definitely waiting for this community corner to come up so I could have a lot more information than just pure speculation about everything. And I believe this community corner covered so much in the HUD that now I can for sure say certain things about the HUD that I wouldn't have known if I would have just talked about it from the beginning. But I will go ahead and leave a link in the description to the actual HUD, breakdown, or the actual kind of patch note about the HUD. The official version 44 patch notes will be released on Monday, which is the day before the patch actually releases, and I will do my typical breakdown of that. I'm gonna really try to give more of my opinion. I think that's what a lot of y'all have really said. Y'all don't want me to just break them down. Y'all want me to give my opinion. So I'm going to try to change the formats a little bit and see maybe if y'all like the way I'm doing them now over the way I previously did them. But first, let's get into this HUD change. Now, this is just the only screenshot we have of what the new HUD is going to look like. You can see they've changed where the player level bars, the money that or the gold that you have, everything like that is now in the bottom left. You can see the cards are in the bottom right, along with the gems. There are also, the actual player abilities and things like that have been moved to the middle of the screen, and we do have a different way of looking as to when you can actually level them up. You also see there's little blue numbers, which I'm assuming that's going to be mana cost. At the top of the screen, that's where the health bar is now, as well as you have team frames, which is the enemy's team. You can see your team. There's also that little kind of raptor looking emblem next to that, which, we'll talk about that more in a minute. But this is kind of really the overview of the HUD. And I'm going to break this down as well as, kind of go over the points that they talk about within the community corner as they arise. Now, the first thing in the community corner they mention is invisible things like, silences and debuffs, buffs, slows, things like that. Before, they were just kind of that little arrowed circle just above your health bar that really only you could see, and you just had to know what they were. Now they are going to be actually stated, and I'll, leave a little arrow right there so you can see where I'm talking about. But you will be able to see what the debuff is and what it's actually doing. And man, I really like that. I think that should have been in Paragon for a while now, and it is nice that we are actually having it. They also talk about cards like Gag Order, where you can silence. That's going to be placed up there. And then cards like Apex Predator, which scale. These cards are now going to actually show their scaling instead of you going, I had 40 minions or, whatever. Now you're just going to straight up see, hey, you're 95% done, or however they decide to put it. So that's huge, and I think these are things that should have been in Paragon a long time ago, and it is nice that we are finally getting them. Next, they talk about the team frames. Now, the team frames are displayed at the top. There's some arrows for you to see them, but they say, hey, we're going to display mana, health, and ultimate status, which I really like, but I do have a few opinions of my own about them, and I really think this is appealing to more of a casual audience. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think this is, turning Paragon into a casual game or anything like that, but, this really is a lazy thing to do, in my opinion, or it's a lazy tool, which, if you remember a while back, whenever Quang got his root changed to, huge, it was, double the size, I didn't have a problem with it. I was just saying, hey, it's more of a casual thing than a strategic thing, and I see that same thing with these team frames. I see, instead of, let's say you're playing Muriel, you don't need to look at the mini-map or have communication with your team or, just actually look around to see your hero's health. You can just simply look at the top and go, oh, okay, everybody's safe. Or, hey, this guy's taking, a couple of hits, get ready to ult. I just see that as less of a, you need to have more eyes on the map and you can spend more time just looking and seeing what you're doing. Which, I mean, that's not huge. It's not just a massive change, but I do see it as being much more of a casual thing. You can go, hey, there's, just like I said with Muriel, and you be the judge if you think that's a bad thing or a good thing. I don't see it as really either. I just see it as it's definitely making things much easier when, right now I don't think it was really necessary. It's making things easier that I never, or anybody that's spent an amount of time with Paragon should not be struggling with, having map awareness, positioning, knowing what your team's doing, being in communication with your team. That's what makes Paragon Paragon. And when you have this simple tool of, hey, here it is, that to me, that just takes away just a small amount. But is what it is. No problem. Let's move on. Now, the next thing they talk about is hero-specific HUDs. Now, we are looking at Twin Blast, so let's kind of dive into this. Now, this kind of goes into Twin Blast rework, and we got a rough idea of what the rework was in this update, and I'll definitely go over that here in a minute, but let's just talk about the customized HUD. Now, if you look next to his reticle, you can see he's got some shotgun shells, and he's got 5 of them currently, and there's a few blacked out. Now, if you look at his, what used to be the grenade ability, it has 5 stacks. So that correlates with that 5, now shotgun shells or ammo shells, whatever you want to call them. And so you can see there is a correlation there. And I'm into that. Now we can see, boom, this is what I have. I don't have to look away from what I'm aiming at to see it. I've got it right there. I know what I'm doing. And they mentioned Arrg having his souls, and I'm sure it's going to be kind of the same where it's right next to his reticle, so you can see, hey, I've got 10 souls and we're 8 minutes into the game, I should probably work on getting souls. Or Morgesh having a permanent mark, so when she's got someone marked, maybe it'll kind of show an outline of who it is. Or, that's just kind of my guess right now, and I am into this, guys. Having a customized HUD per hero with their abilities and their attributes that they actually use instead of just having this general, hey, this is what it is. I'm definitely into this. I am not a big customized guy. I spend very little time customizing my hero and changing the colors and things like that. I'm just not really into that. But one thing I definitely would be into is if they did that within Paragon, where you could customize your HUD to fit the different playstyle for each hero. Right now I play Twin Blast a little bit differently than I play Murdoch because, the abilities, but it's fairly close. But I play Twin Blast way different than I play someone like Kalari. And so being able to customize my HUD so I can have the most advantage out of that, get rid of the clutter, keep the things I want, get rid of the things that I don't, I would definitely be into that. And they've talked about moving in that direction. So I think that will be an absolute amazing change when it finally does come. Now, the next thing they talk about is health bars. And they said that health bars being moved to the top really shows no difference in their player test room. They said that really no one looks at the health bar when it's on the bottom, and no one really, they don't have as much data when it's on the top, but they said it really, people don't look at health bars, which, I gotta say, I'm probably right there with them. I play with the health bar above the hero's head. And that's because it's much easier for me to look at that than it is for me to look at the bottom or the top of the screen. And so, hey, I'm into that. Now, they also talked about we will be able to see health bars. The ones that are above your head are not going away. Even though Twin Blast doesn't have one, we will now be able to switch them from above the head to over the shoulder. This is huge, guys. If anybody's ever played Kalari or even Richter with a health bar above their head, it makes shooting, their actual, skill shots impossible. Throwing that dagger is so hard whenever, you've got this giant health bar in your way. Same with throwing that Riplash. So being able to switch those to over the shoulder, that is going to be amazing. And it sounds like just an absolute amazing change. So I'm definitely into it. And you know, I gotta say, at first look, I don't really like the flashiness of the new, you know, just the new HUD in general, the lightning bolt health bars and everything like that, but the changes that we are getting, I think, are huge, and they're definitely in the right direction. Now, they have talked about actually taking Paragon and moving it into a game that has a completely customizable HUD, and I'm definitely into that, guys. I've played a handful of games that, you know, had these customizable HUDs, and they do take a while to get used to. You can't just jump into a customized HUD, move it around the way you want, and then, hey, everything's good. It does take a little bit to get used to, especially if you've never played with something so different, because, you know, just that muscle memory of, hey, I hit this button to do this, it's going to be completely changed. But when you do get used to it and you set it up the way you want it, it's so good. And I'm ready for Paragon to have that. You know, if they did have that right now, my HUD would, you know, be almost bare bones. I wouldn't have my abilities on it, you know, because that's just wasted space. I don't need those on there. I would change, you know, the size of the minimap probably, and I would maybe even change the location of it so it's a little bit easier for me to see. Instead of looking up in the corner, I might change it to the bottom. You know, just these are the options that would be available to us. And I gotta say that's huge. I would really, really enjoy seeing that. I would also like to see something like when a hero dies, like right now, we've got a dead hero. I would like that to change where the location is. You know, I could have my team on one side and their team on the other and have them just kind of go up. And when they, you know, these are the type of customizations I would love to see in a HUD, because they would just improve gameplay. And every game I've ever played with this amount of customization just on the HUD is much more enjoyable, because you feel that this is your hero. This is your HUD. You feel that this is you. And right now, you know, it's very generic. You know, my decker feels just like your decker. If we could change that to where I've got it completely customized to where I want it, that would be just absolutely amazing. And I really hope that they do come around to that. All right, this is the last time I'm going to pull up the HUD picture, I promise, guys. But we did learn a little bit more about the Twin Blast rework. And they kind of said every 10 to 15 shots you get it empowered, and that reflects in his HUD. And, you know, they kind of said it that way, so it was very vague. But it sounds like every 10 to 15 shots you get one empowered round or something like that. And then that would correlate to this new ability that he has. So you can save up your empowered rounds, hit them, and maybe they hit for just slightly more damage, or maybe they shoot faster. You know, we don't know any of those details, but we do know that the more he shoots, the more of these empowered rounds that he gets, and so they're getting rid of the grenade, which, you know, who uses grenade anymore? I think this is an absolute amazing change, and, you know, I do have to say, if this does change his power, I think this is going to feel too much like Durango. Hopefully it just changes his attack speed. I would really like to see this only changing his attack speed, you know, and this empowered round, when you actually hit the button, you get 15 shots of, you know, 0.1 attack speed faster or something like that. So he does remain that very bursty ADC, but he isn't getting an advantage, because I feel his damage is spot on right now. I feel he has very, very solid damage, and if they give him just bonus damage for, you know, taking away a grenade to give him bonus damage, I don't think that is the best idea for him, but we'll definitely have to wait and see. Now, the last couple of things that they addressed were, they have 12 options that are coming into version 44. 12 like customizable HUD options that are coming into version 44, and they're looking at turning that number 12 into 50. So this is absolutely huge. You know, to be quite honest, I would really like them just to come out with just a customizable HUD. You know, this is what it looks like. You have an option between this look and this look and this look. Drag and drop them wherever you want. but we aren't quite there yet. So hopefully, you know, that we'll see that in the future. But right now, they're working on an additional 38 customizable options, which is nice. You will be able to toggle minions' health bars on and off, and I think that is absolutely amazing. You'll be able to finally toggle off the allied health bars so you can finally, you know, get last shots a little bit easier, which, you know, that's huge. And they also said by default, minions' health bars never show up unless they have damage. So, you know, you can make it where, hey, they're just always on. I'm a huge fan of this. I think this is going to be great. Sure, it'll take a little bit of time to get used to, but great. They talk about PC got a few changes with their deck system. There's now a drag and drop type thing with moving your cards around. I think that's great. You can now swap card positions without losing anything. So, you know, if you throw a growth totem in a spot, like your number 1 spot, and that's where you want to have, you know, I don't know, Shadow Dancer. You can drag growth totem somewhere else, put Shadow Dancer in your 1 spot. That's amazing. I think that's a great, you know, a great pickup. Hotkeys, which this is going to be huge for me, guys. You can now hit Control 1, 2, or 3 to assign gold to a certain attribute. So, like, if you want more agility, Control 1, you just hit 1 as many times, and that assigns all your gold without having to pull up the menu at all. I think that is absolutely huge. You know, I'm terrible at putting on gold, and you know, I'm sure y'all have all seen, so this is going to be absolutely amazing for me. I really wish we could get away from the control button. I'm sure I can change it, but I don't like using the control button. I wish I could use something else, but, well, you know, that's really on me. Now, scaling as far as changing the size of, like, your mini-map, or changing the size of, you know, the timer, or things like that, that is not in version 44, but it is coming, guys. So we can look forward to that. And, you know, that was really it. This was a great community corner. We got a lot of information. You know, there is still that sidetracking issue that I think the community corner suffers from a little bit, where they kind of go into depth about something and then completely abandon it. I think this is one of the best community corners that they've had, though, where they put out just a ton of information, and, you know, they still left us guessing about things, and I think that's absolutely great. Well, that's really going to wrap it up. Before I forget, Fangtooth is now a buff. The 3 raptors are going away. They're getting replaced by a large raptor. When you kill him, you'll get a buff. We don't know what the buff is, but that's what Fangtooth is, guys. So when you see it on that HUD screenshot, Fangtooth is just a buff. So, yeah, you know, hey, this was a great community corner, guys, and if you have any questions, let me know. I'll definitely get back to you. Y'all have got about as much information as I do, but I would be happy to share my thoughts or listen to y'all's opinions. Let me know what y'all think about the new HUD, guys. There are a few changes that you know, like the team frames. I'm just not a huge fan of the team frames. But that's going to go ahead and wrap my community corner breakdown up, guys. There was a lot of good information, a lot of information we're still definitely guessing about, but I will definitely break down the, you know, patch notes when they are released on Monday, and, you know, next Tuesday where Paragon's changing yet again. So hopefully we'll see some good progress there. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and if you did enjoy, show me some love. Leave me a comment, think about subscribing, and as always, I'll see y'all in the next video.